Hey everyone, welcome to Browns Thoughts here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. Been a while, but some news in the world of the Browns. I mean, they've got two games left in the season. They play the Dolphins this week, and they play the Ravens in Week 18. Um, this team, I think, at most, is going to have they can potentially win this Miami game, but um, if unless the division is wrapped up with the Ravens, I just don't see a scenario where the Browns are going to win more than 4 games this season, which is a disappointment in itself. But there was some news on Friday as it was announced that the Browns had restructured Deshaun Watson's contract. And that was met with a lot of angst and a lot of anger and like outrage from Browns fans saying, "Well, are we bringing him back? What are we doing? What are we doing?" Okay, everybody, relax, relax. I will tell it to you here, and I've said it on this channel. I've plead with the Browns, but I am here to tell you, based off the information that came out about this contract and what this means, also given the health situation of Deshaun Watson, I am confident that Deshaun Watson is not taking another snap as the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Even if there's an injury, I think this is purely strategical from a salary cap perspective, and the Browns are trying to kick the can down the road to give themselves financial relief so they can try and build a team around a fill-in quarterback, whether it be a Kirk Cousins or it be a draftable quarterback this year, whether it be Shador Sanders, Cam Ward, or whoever they want to bring in. So the reality of the situation is I think people need to chill out. It has not been a good season. I am not happy in a lot of different respects, but everybody wants to fire the coach. Everyone wants to fire every member of the offensive staff. Everybody wants to do this and do this. Everybody wants Jimmy Haslam to sell the team. I've wanted Jimmy Haslam to sell the team for close to a decade, but that's neither here nor there. Here's where we are. Um, like I said, Deshaun Watson, I'm confident he's not going to be the quarterback of this team next year. The recovery for an Achilles tear is close to a year. Given the fact that he has not performed, even with that contract at the just ridiculous albatross that it is, them minimizing the dead cap hit if they were to cut him. Listen, basically what they're going to do in this situation, what I think they will end up doing is they will tell Deshaun Watson, listen, we're restructuring your contract. You're getting paid. You're not going to get a job anywhere else. So stay at home. You're not going to be a part. You're going to be on the team, and we're going to pay you, but you're not going to be the starting quarterback. And based off the fact that Deshaun Watson is not going to get paid money anywhere else, and he hoodwinked this franchise to the point of we've went over the numbers of this contract for so long. I don't think there's any reason for Deshaun Watson to basically say, and based off the way he's played, it tells me he doesn't really love football anymore anyway. So there's that. Um, I think he would go along with this, and basically he would sit out the next 2 seasons, and basically let's call it what it is. As bad as he was playing, his football career was over. With this injury, after a shoulder injury that he had to get reconstructed, the guy's football career is over before he's 30. So you're getting paid $46 million a year for the next 2 seasons. Go stay at home. Go do whatever the hell you want. Stay away from this team. You've been toxic. And the Browns will just move forward with whoever they want to do. I think what the solution is going to end up being, and a lot of people are not going to like this, I think it's going to be Kirk Cousins. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns in 2025. And it'll be a similar situation to what the Steelers were doing with Russell Wilson. Do I think it'll end up like Russell Wilson? I have no idea. Okay. Because Russell Wilson was winning some games and moving the ball, but they've lost 3 in a row. And the Steelers are heading towards a 10-7 season and another probably one and done season under Mike Tomlin. They've overachieved, but then they flail off at the end. So I don't know what it means, but I can tell you that Kirk Cousins in a Kevin Stefanski offense without Ken Dorsey there and, reworking the staff could potentially work to the point of, okay, maybe this offense can start moving the ball, get back to some semblance of a running game. If you're going to bring in Kirk Cousins, maybe you invest more in the offensive line and do that sort of thing to surround Kirk Cousins. You already have Jerry Jeudy as a nice piece, David Njoku. Maybe you try to go get a receiver in this draft. There's been a lot of receivers, high level receivers that have come out and have been contributors in the middle rounds, not necessarily in the first round. So you don't have to get a Luther Burden, you don't have to get a Tetairoa McMillan or whoever. You don't have to invest that high. There are some other receivers probably later down the line. We've seen a Lad McConkey with the Chargers. He was like a second or third round pick in the draft by the Chargers, and he's turned out to be a pretty good thing. There's ways they can upgrade this team through free agency, through the draft, and the reason why I'm actually happy that they restructured this contract with Deshaun Watson and didn't go the route of what the Denver Broncos did is because if they were to cut it basically, I think it was like somewhere near like a dead cap hit of $172 million. Like with Russell Wilson was like 80. So this was going to be a record breaking cap hit. So everybody who's freaking out that the Browns are not immediately cutting Deshaun Watson, that is why this contract is one of the worst, and this transaction with the trade itself is one of the worst in sports history. This is a borderline unmovable thing. They can't trade him. They can't cut him. They're stuck with him. And the best solution that I have is proposed, and I have no reason to believe that Deshaun Watson will not go along with this and basically sit out for 2 seasons. Because let's face it, nobody in the NFL is going to want him on their roster. So the best case for him is to either A, compete, and he's not going to win a job based off what we have seen in the last couple of seasons on the field. He's not going to win a job against anybody. I don't think he'll beat out a rookie quarterback, and he won't even be healthy until maybe late summer or into training camp. We're talking about here. Like he got hurt in like October. Like we're talking about a 9 to 12 month injury. Like he's not going to be ready or healthy enough to even participate in anything. So that's the other part of this thing. I don't think he's going to be healthy enough to play to even start the season to win a job in the first place. Secondly, I don't think he's good enough even when healthy. That's the other part of this thing. So he knows he's cooked. He's done. So Browns, by minimizing and stretching out this dead cap hit so they have some relief, they're able to build this team. I have a little bit of faith that maybe this is going to work out and maybe they could kind of, build things up and build a team around a guy like a Myles Garrett, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Hopefully he gets back healthy. Jerry Jeudy's on this roster. We'll see if Nick Chubb's able to come back healthy or if they want to, maybe go down the road of potentially, targeting a running back like an Ashton Janty in this draft. And rebuilding around that. I could see that being a scenario. But the point is, the Browns are going to have a different quarterback. You're going to add another quarterback to this jersey. I don't think it's going to be Jameis Winston. It's not going to be Dorian Thompson-Robinson, and it's damn sure not going to be Deshaun Watson starting next year. So anybody who's freaking the fuck out about this and wanting to just listen, I want to disown this team on multiple occasions too, but I actually saw this. This was probably the best move that they could have made leading into 2025. Now, what happens in the next 2 weeks could dictate the future of this team. If they get humiliated by Miami at home and they get humiliated by Baltimore in the finale, I actually think they could beat the Dolphins, but this might be a tank-worthy situation. Based off everything we've been told, I think everybody, at least on the main level, is coming back. I think Kevin Stefanski is coming back. I think Andrew Berry is coming back. I actually think that's a mistake. I think that they should, consider a different general manager possibility, because even though Andrew Berry's been good at, manipulating the cap, and obviously this move to restructure things has gone okay, look at this roster. Like, a lot of the free agency signings that Andrew Berry has had have missed. Juan Thornhill's been a disaster. Don't even get me started on John Johnson. They've just missed on a lot of big names. One of his noteworthy draft picks, Jed Wills, is going to not be on this team anymore. The big trade that he made was for Deshaun Watson, and whether that was Jimmy Haslam or that was completely initiated by Andrew Berry's the GM of this team, so it's his name on that contract. So yeah, Jimmy Haslam's footing the bill because he's the owner, but you can't fire the owner. And I think if anybody's going to lose their job, and I've said this multiple times on this channel, Andrew Berry is going to be the one to take the fall. And I think there's, to some degree, there is something to be said about, okay, if there's a truly terrible season with a franchise, somebody has to take the fall. Sometimes it doesn't have to be the coach. I do think that there are some issues with discipline and the way this team was coached this year. I don't know if it was dead from the start, or if there was a lack of energy in this building because of all the stuff going on with Watson, like all the bad vibes that were going on. And I had heard that the shuffling of the offense was not great. Amari Cooper didn't seem very connected after the rumors that the Browns were going to trade for Brandon Ayuk. The defense actually was somewhat connected, but like I said, the Juan Thornhill thing, that was a miss. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, I mean, he plays as hard as anybody. He gets injured. Yeah, it's just there's a lot of disconnect with this team. So I'm wondering if they can bring it back and potentially rally around to Kevin Stefanski. I think Kevin Stefanski's earned another year based off what he's done. I know a lot of people won't agree with me on that. But here's my thing before I go here in terms of just this overriding thing about obviously the Deshaun Watson thing feeding into what's going to happen next year. So let's spin this forward. And really what I would say to anybody, and I've said this before, and I've asked this question multiple times, and I'll ask this to many Browns fans, and you can get at me at Off the Mic 28 on Twitter, at OT Mike Sports. You can hit me there, or you can hit me in the comments. Who are you hiring if you fire Kevin Stefanski? I understand they could potentially be looking at a 3-14 season. That's not good, okay? And outside of the 2 playoff seasons, this team has been an under 500 ball club. Like this is a terrible season. This is a terrible season. But who are you hiring that's better than Kevin Stefanski? If it's not Mike Vrabel, I don't know what the hell you're doing. Because you're not getting Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson's going to go to the highest bidder. The Browns aren't paying out the ass for that. Do you want to promote Jim Schwartz? I don't think Jim Schwartz is a head coach. I don't see that being a possibility. You look at some of the other options that are out there. Cliff Kingsbury in Washington, you want to bring him in? He was a middling head coach in Arizona. Like, I'm just thinking of names off the top of my head who are realistic. You want to go out and hire a college coach? Lincoln Riley? No, I don't want to do that. There's not a lot out there that's better than Kevin Stefanski. And yes, Kevin Stefanski is at 500 to below 500 coach, but he's won more games than any Browns coach has in the last 25-year existence of this new regime of Cleveland Browns football since they became the expansion Browns. And yeah, am I kind of like sort of settling? Yes. Yes, I am. And you want to know why? Because this organization is so bass-backward and so messed up because of ownership, and there's such a bad vibe around this team. Look at the fucking Deshaun Watson contract and all the bad, vibes that brought to this organization. And this organization's already been a shit show for a long time. They're not going to get it. They're not going to get a premium coaching candidate. So unless you're going to promote Mike Vrabel, who's going to get a lot of really good offers, what the hell are you doing? They're not firing Kevin Stefanski unless it is Mike Vrabel. And I'm convinced that I think he's going to go to Las Vegas because Tom Brady, his former teammate, is there. There's just a lot of connections within that building. I think there's a really, and then they could potentially have a high draft pick at quarterback, even though they won this week, which is stupid. And they're going to fire Antonio Pierce. So, I could totally see a scenario where Mike Vrabel ends up in Las Vegas, but if the Browns want to hire him, he's in the building. So that's really the only option that you have. So those are my Browns thoughts for now. As we get towards the end of the season, we'll kind of monitor some of these situations in terms of, higher up positions, whether head coaching changes are made, what potential rumors could be out there going into the offseason. We'll see how these last 2 games go, because depending on how these go, that could dictate the future of Kevin Stefanski. I don't think he's going to get fired based off what I have seen from this organization in the past. They brought back a coach who went 0-16 and 1-31 over 2 seasons in Hugh Jackson. I don't think they're going to fire a 2-time coach of the year with off of a 3-14, 4-13, or 5-12 season. I don't. No matter what the record is, if they get to 5 wins, I don't think it matters. I think they're keeping it. But if anybody's going to take the fall, it's Andrew Berry. So those are my Browns thoughts. Thanks for watching. I appreciate y'all. Happy New Year. Whenever you're watching this, Merry Christmas. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah for all you Jewish people out there. Yeah, tribesmen. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye-bye.